Senate Resolution 70 by Senators Carmichael, Ashley, Beach, Blair, Oley, Boso, Klein, Facemeyer, Ferns, Gaunch, Hall, Carnes, Kessler, Kirkendall, Laird, Leonhardt, Maynard, Miller, Mullins, Palumbo, Plymale, Prezioso, Romano, Snyder, Stalling, Seipolt, Takubo, Trump, Unger, Walters, Williams, Wolfel, and Yost, recognizing the dedicated public service of the Honorable William P. Cole III.
Senior Senator from the 16th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that the resolution be taken up for immediate consideration, committee reference dispensed with, and the resolution be placed upon its adoption. I was close.
Senior Senator from the 16th requests unanimous consent the resolution be taken up for immediate consideration, committee reference be dispensed with, the resolution be put upon its adoption. I hope there's not objection. Chair doesn't hear any. Questions on adoption of the resolution? Is there discussion? Senator from Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in strong support of this resolution for my good friend. You have been, and the reason all of us and the people of West Virginia should support this resolution is your commitment to the betterment of this state. I have watched you as a close friend, not just a colleague, as a close friend, work tirelessly to put West Virginia on the path to progress. Regardless of the political consequences, regardless of the ideological bend, regardless of the entrenched special interest groups, regardless of the consequences, you have forged forward to move this state and to put its people on the path of progress. And I know your heart. I've seen it. I've watched you turn friends away because it was the wrong thing to do and embrace those who have criticized you because it was the right thing to do. And that's the mark of a true statesman. When you do the right thing, when no one's looking, you still do the right thing. Your vision for the state of West Virginia, to see the potential, to know that there is a brighter way, to know that we do not have to continue down this path that has led us on in a declining economic environment. You know that there is a better way, and you have garnered the support of so many people around this state and within these halls and within this Capitol to do the tough things to move our state forward. I am proud to have gone and walked this journey with you to this point. I wish you the absolute best of luck, and I feel that your destiny and the state of West Virginia are linked together in such a way that there is a brighter future for all of us. And I'm proud, pleased, and honored to stand in support of this resolution and to call you my dear friend for life. Thank you.
Is there further discussion? Senator from Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Changing the status quo in anything is difficult. Change is scary for many people, and upsetting an established way or entrenched interest is always hard. To accomplish it, it takes a person of leadership. And I have observed that in the honoree of this resolution since my arrival here at the Capitol last January. The person honored by this resolution is committed to making West Virginia prosperous, to making it a place where businesses can grow, where families can set down roots and establish a future for generations yet to come. I rise in strong support of this resolution and with the greatest respect and admiration for the person named therein.
The Senator from Logan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of the resolution. It didn't take me long to figure out that when you're a member of the Senate body, you're going to disagree on a lot of issues. But I can tell you one thing. I can look all 33 of my colleagues straight in the face and tell you, even on disagreement, I'll never hold it personal. I'll never lose an ounce of friendship or respect. Because when I was a county official, I thought you guys didn't do much. I give speeches back home about how hard that county government was and how hands-on we were, and those guys over there, they had a cocktail or two and talked and looked at on issues, and I said, they just don't do much. Well, I can tell all of you, Mr. President, since you're the honor here tonight, along with my colleagues, I've given about 6 repetitive, humble speeches since 2011 to tell people they just don't know what all of you do. And as a leader, you're on your side of the aisle as a majority party. They attest to your dedication of time. As a minority party member, I also say you do put the time in. And I do say that you lead with strong 18 to 16 strong. But I can tell you I respect you as a friend. I respect the leadership. We disagreed on some of the issues that we truly showed when we voted to the people of West Virginia. And sometimes time will tell if the vision you had was the right vision. But that's why we have the best in the world, our democracy, our freedom. If you didn't do it right, the people out there will tell you or me when they go push the little machine, because they have the vision and the ideas and the dreams, so they depend on us to put it out there for them. You guys have changed and gals have changed the format of what West Virginia may be. We'll have to see how positive it is. But I will give you credit for that. And I will give you credit. You've put the time and the effort in. And as a minority, I've never asked you a question. You give me a quality answer. And you were there to answer anything we had to have a question to you about. And as a leader, I think if you just try to be fair with both sides of the aisle, I think the people of West Virginia are better off for that. So with that, I do superbly support SR 70, and I wish you the best, Mr. President.
Senator from Greenbrier.
Thank you, Mr. President. I stand also to support this resolution. I will tell you that I didn't like you very much when you first came here because you beat my dear friend in the election. That's what elections do. But I got to know you while you were here, and while I believe you're wrong on a lot of things, you think I'm wrong on a lot of things too, and that's okay. You've always been a friend to me. You've never belittled me. You've never put me down. You've accepted me for who I am. I'll tell the body, and maybe you don't want me to share that, but I'll share it anyway. A few weeks ago, the President felt he had done me wrong. A little thing. He called me on the way home. My cell rang. I didn't know how he had my cell phone. It scares me how he can find all those cell phone numbers, but he had my cell phone number, and he called me and apologized for what he had done. I appreciated that very much, and had a good conversation as he apologized. So I think this resolution is good to honor a man who does believe what he does. And he and I may disagree on what he does and how he does it, but we agree that he does it hard and he works hard, and we have to honor him this night. Certainly because of who he is and what he does and what he believes. So I support this resolution also.
The Senator from Harrison.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be brief. You know, I do rise in support, in strong support of this amendment because of this resolution. Thank you. Because, you know, a lot of people have talked to me, and of course the President of the Senate comes up and I say I seldom ever agree with him, but he is a leader of his party. And you have done a fine job leading the 18 individuals over there, and you have to respect that. I remember my first conversation with the president. He called me on the phone right after my election, and he said, we had a little disagreement, and he said, Michael, I would sure hate my first fight be about you in the Senate. We've had a lot since then, but you're a good man that despite our differences, and we have a lot of them, you always sit down and show respect for all of us and always have good conversations. And we can always discuss how we disagree and maybe pull everybody a little bit to the left every so often. But again, with my full support, I support SR 70 for William P. Cole III.
The senator from Braxton.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, there's no doubt about it, we ain't agreed on a whole lot of stuff. But you know what? That's how it's supposed to be. Sometimes when the right and the left works together, we've done a lot of things where we've met in the middle. And Mr. President, I do believe this. You are a genuine West Virginian. And you want the best for West Virginia. It doesn't make any difference whether I agree or not. I do know that you're an honorable man and you want to do what's right. Some of my friends back home have said, he acts like he's mean. I said, well, sometimes that ain't all bad. Sometimes you need a whipping occasionally. But you've always been fair. You've been very respectful to me. And I appreciate that. I wish you the best of luck, and I felt privileged to serve under you. Thank you, Mr. President, and I urge passage.
Senator from Jefferson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I stand in support of the resolution, but I must rib you a little. If we all noticed in the chamber that the board, through some electronic glitch, came up starting ahead up 2 to 0. Mr. President, that's been our problem on this side of the chamber all session. But I do, and I will be very brief. Certainly to serve as Senate President is a tremendous honor. To add your name with so many others since our great state was formed. You have maintained the respect of the Senate and the honor. When I first came here with then Senate President Earl Ray Tomlin, I gained such respect for this body that I would not, even in the evenings, walk through any door here without a suit and tie on. I had that much respect. And you've continued that tradition, and I appreciate that deeply. I wish you the very best in your endeavors in the future of your life. Thank you.
Senior Senator from the 8th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in strong support of this resolution and strong support of the gentleman that this resolution is honoring. We came in the same class together, is kind of how I'd like to say it, here into the Senate, and we're part of the Honey Badger Caucus together, and with Craig and Mitch. And I remember spending many hours at the very, very end of the hallway, as far away as we could get, just sitting in your office with Mitch and everyone else, and just talking about things that we wanted to do and things that we wanted to do to be great for West Virginia. And we're on that path. And we're on that path underneath your leadership. You've been like a father figure to me here in the Senate. I remember sitting in the back in the office one day, and the tongue of my shoe, the bottom of it was flapping, and I just was sitting there with my leg over top of one and just flapping the tongue of my shoe, the very bottom of it, because the heel was falling off from how far I had to walk to get to your office. And you started grumbling like I was your son and started reaching back in your pocket like you were going to get money to help me fix it. I was like, what are you doing? And I just, that's the type of relationship that we've always had. He's spent hours on the phone. You think you all have heard about broadband from me. He spent hours talking to me on the phone about it and talked to me late at night about different ideas and crazy ideas, but he's always been somebody that I felt comfortable to call. And he's made time for me, as I know he's made time for many others in this body. And I'll tell you, he would do anything for any one of us. And he's a very admirable man. And I really appreciate serving with you. And I'm so thankful I got to push the button to help vote for you to be president of our Senate.
Senator from Preston.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, I normally don't speak too much on the floor, but I guess the Spirit has moved me this evening, and I look up to you as both a leader and a friend. And I recall a story I'll relate very quickly. When we sat on the other side of the room, and first year down here, and we were getting close to the end of the session, and things are starting to pick up, and the pace is clipping along. And I remember one time you looked over at me and says, "Dave, do you have any idea what's in this bill we're about to vote on?" And I thought, well, it had been one that went through my committee, and I knew a little bit about it and told you about it. So we went on from there. But I will say that under your leadership, last year and this year, with our 7:30 meetings every morning, I don't feel like I came into this chamber one time without knowing what was going to be on the agenda or what was going to be happening. And I'll call you a leader and a friend, but I won't call you a boss, because you've never once asked me to vote any certain way. But we've always laid the facts on the table. We let everyone decide. We believe in the committee process. And if it's going to go up, it's going to go up. If it's going to go down, it'll go down. But I stand behind you, and I respect you for what you've done. Not just me, but other people. I've heard the stories before from last year after our 60 days. Many people have said, "Wow, he held it together." Well, we all held it together because you made us a team. You made us all part of the process, and you made us all valuable and feel valuable, and that's important. And I think in about an hour and a half, you're going to have another 60 days behind us, another one for the books. And, sir, you and we held it together one more time, and my hat's off to you.
Senator from Ohio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of this resolution, and just thinking here as I was listening to all the stories, I was thinking about where our journey began, and it's kind of funny, it seems like forever ago now, but a little over 3 years ago, I was a Democrat member of the House of Delegates, and I had a crazy idea. You know, I was kind of fed up with the way things were going, was unhappy in the House, and wasn't happy with the direction the state was going in, so I had this crazy idea. And you were the first person I went to talk to about my crazy idea. I was completely unsure of what I was doing. I walked into your office and told you what I was thinking about, and with no hesitation, you said, "You're the man for the job, what do you need?" And it was that kind of instinct that I think has made you one of the greatest leaders that I've ever encountered. I'm from the northern part of the state. Obviously, you're from almost the very bottom southern part of the state. So a lot of times in my area, folks ask me, you know, who is Bill Cole? And I tell them what's important to me when supporting somebody for an office is that they are in it for the right reasons. They have nothing to gain and everything to lose. I think that's the ideal person to be a representative. And I don't think that could be more true of anybody than of you. You have put your entire life on hold because you believe in the future of this state. I think you've sacrificed a tremendous amount. And I mean, when you think about the history of careers in politics, in four years, what you've done is remarkable. I mean, you've really moved mountains in order to get this state in a new direction. I mean, it's unbelievable. And I think everyone in this body agrees that the leadership qualities that you possess are second to none. And I'll tell a short little story. Majority Leader and I were laughing the other day. He came into our morning meeting and told us about an idea that he had related to an issue, and I won't get into the issue. But immediately, my friend Senator BLAIR and I started jumping down the Majority Leader's throat saying, "What is wrong with you? What is wrong? What are you thinking?" About 20 minutes later, you came in and said almost the exact same thing, and both of us sat back, nodded our heads, "Well, that's a great idea." Majority Leader looked at us and said, "What?" I said the same thing. You guys jumped down my throat, but I guess the way that you said it was just enough to point us in the right direction. You've been a tremendous friend and an even better colleague, and look forward to everything you're going to do in the future for our state. Thank you.
Be okay if I call the previous question, or are you going to do that? Senator from Wayne.
I want to be recognized to close, if I could.
Senator from Wayne to close.
No, after he speaks, I'd like the right to close. But I want to tell you that the one thing I do appreciate is the fact that we run as a business here. The times have usually been on time. I mean, you really have run this as a business. You have worked this body probably harder than I've seen at any time that I've been here. I do appreciate that you've given me the opportunity to experience the West Wing again, and the camaraderie that happens there. The fact that I do have a seat next to the restroom, as my age that's getting older, I need to be able to get out of here really quick. No, and really do. I do appreciate your leadership. I do appreciate the fact that we have run as a business. I like spending Saturdays here. Some Sundays. I wasn't going to get into that, Senator from Berkeley. I'm afraid if I mentioned it, maybe you'd put another lawsuit on us again or something. But, in all due respect, I appreciate, we have become friends, and I do appreciate it, and thank you very much. The things that I joke about, it really has been nice to be over where if you get over here in the Capitol, sometimes you lose the contact with your members, and one of the things I do have to say, I really have enjoyed that. And appreciate the fact that this is a Senate body that I really embrace. And I don't think these are careers. Everybody's talking about careers. I look at this as service. And I think it's the same way you look at it. This is service. This isn't a career. If you think this is a career, you're in it for the wrong reasons. And I do appreciate that you feel the same way.
Senior Senator from the 15th.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, you had faith in me when I didn't have faith in me. To come forward and be part of this process. I remember when our good friend Don Caruth passed away and you were a delegate. And we got to know each other then. And then we moved forward to you being a senator, and we're all the way down at the West Wing. Honey badgers. He was talking about back there. We'd sit back here and talk about what we'd do if we were in the majority, how we'd change the state, this and that. And Mr. President, you've lived up to every one of the words and the conversations, and you're a facilitator. You have the ability to take average people and turn them into incredible individuals. You have the ability to take the collective mind and make it work for all of West Virginia. When we sat in the President's meeting in the morning, not once does there any conversation about that's a Democrat bill, that's a Republican bill. It's about whether it's a good bill for West Virginia or not. And more than once, we get reminded of the story of you and your father, where you went in to one time to complain about something and you got told you didn't have a solution to the problem. Don't come to the table without a solution for the problem. That was some great advice that I could have probably used a long time ago. But I certainly do apply it now. The staff in this building absolutely love working under your leadership. I hear it on a daily basis. This bunch in here is like herding cats too. And you do an amazing job at doing that. And We got to go back again and look at the collective mind. Today we did something that back years ago when I had hair, it was called drug testing for welfare. And this is just one example of your leadership, that we moved West Virginia forward and respect the will of the people of West Virginia through your leadership. And I've got to throw up just a little bit of statistics that your leadership has done. When we were in the minority, it was 1%, maybe 2% of the bills that got passed. And this is no disrespect to anybody else. This is a pride that I have of working with you, where when you're in the minority, it's 21%. In other words, the collective mind is put to work by this man's efforts to make sure that we all work together and do the right thing. And you know, Mr. President, there's nothing more prouder than to be able to stand up and say that to you. This year, I've got the numbers, and it's running right in line with last year. Wow. If every person in West Virginia knew this, you would be governor. And I predict that that can very much so happen, because these are the good things that can happen for all West Virginians as you've brought good things to this capital. Thank you, Mr. President, for your service.
Should I be worried? Senior Senator from the 16th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I know you hesitated on that, but Matthew 5:44 says, "But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." And, Mr. President, you know, when we talked about the Honorable Darrell Holmes and that closet that everybody was shown as their office, I never thought anybody would actually be in that closet until you came along, and and I ended up there. My parking space is over there by the Power Alley ballpark. It's quite a hike. I just don't like it when it's snowing, but thank you, Mr. President. But I got to tell you, Mr. President, I want to just say right now that we've had our battles, but I do not consider you as my enemy. Maybe an adversary, but not an enemy. And I just want to say something, that when I mentioned with the Center for Marshall, I used the quote for John F. Kennedy that kind of embodied him. But, Mr. President, when I read this, I really think this embodies you. This is from Theodore Roosevelt, The Man in the Arena. "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there's no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasm, the great devotions, who spend himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end of the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat." Mr. President, you're not an enemy of mine. You're an adversary, and a formidable one, and somebody I respect. And I just want you to know that. And I just thank you and would ask that the yeas and nays be taken on this resolution. Thank you.
Senator from Wayne.
I move the previous question.
How did I ever think that might be coming out of you? Question for the Senate is the adoption of the resolution. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the results. Quick, close machine. Thank you all very much. Can I say ascertain? Yeah, close machine, ascertain the results on this question. 34 yeas, 0 nays, 0 absent, not voting. More than the majority of those present able to vote in the affirmative. I declare the resolution adopted.